Video demonstration, I'm going to use the brand new JND506 Notched Vines frame to make this beautiful, simple but quite evocative card with this beautiful sort of blushed rose colour, with all of this sort of trellis detailing going all the way around it. And this uses just the insert dies from the Notched Vines frame to show that just using parts of a die set can make you an absolutely beautiful card on its own without having to add anything else at all. I've tied this in with flowers made using JND501, the stitched dogwood, and 502 stitched leaves. So let's see how we made this card. So to make that card, we're just going to use the inserts from the Notched Vines frame. This is what I love about these notched frames. This is the new 6-inch square notched FrameMaker, which does a notched into a square. And I love about these is the fact that we can use these inserts separately to make beautiful cards without reference to the rest of the die set. So because you've got 4, it makes it so easy. So it's all made just using that, as you could see from the original. So to start this, I'm going to take those 4 dies and I'm going to take a piece of coconut white card, and this is just our essential card. And this is cut to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, which is the perfect size for this. But I want to tape the dies together first. So what I want to do is lay them out on my mat and butt them up piece to piece, and just take a little bit of tape and tape them together. It's easier to do this separately than start trying to tape it down to the card. We want to make sure we get a nice and straight piece, because by doing that, we get that beautiful pattern going all the way around. With really no reference to the notched at all. It just gives you a really nice sort of frame. So I'm just going to put each piece and tape them together. So I've effectively made 1 die. I can then slide that onto the card and get that nice and even in the middle, and just simply take that down in a couple of places so it doesn't move, and we run that through our die cutting machine, and that will require an A5. And this is the subsequent piece that we get. So you can see here we get this beautiful pattern working all the way around with no reference to it being notched. It's just on a square. It's almost like a lozenge square. It really is beautiful. So you would glue that down to a slightly larger square. So this has been cut to 5 3/4 plus an eighth. So this has been cut to 5 7/8. And this is just from the bright pinks pack of card. This is this sort of lovely dusky rose colour. You can see there, you can see how classy that piece looks. So now we want to match and make a central piece for our sentiment. So here I've got another piece of the coconut white, and this time it's been cut down to 1, 2, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So we're keeping that sizing going. And what you want to do is to just use 2 of your pieces for this die. So you would simply tape 1 piece to one corner, and then another piece to the opposing corner, just like that. And if you can see, what that does is it makes a perfect square in the center, which is just perfect for putting your sentiment on. And again, we run that through and cut that, and this is the subsequent piece from that. So again, I've taken a piece of that dusky rose, cut to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. I've simply adhered down my center, and then I've stamped a sentiment in the middle. The sentiment is from one of the new 2J's stamps that are coming out at the end of April, I believe, 2025, depending on when you're watching this. So we've got the perfect piece that fits perfectly in that square that we've created. And all I want to do is create a little bit of difference, because I'm going to use some leaves. So I've cut myself a piece of the sort of moss green to 4 by 4, and then a piece in 6 by 6, and I simply want to adhere these 2 pieces to it. And the reason that I'm doing that is I'm going to use some green on the leaves, and I want that to balance. So we want that to balance out and the green not to stand out too much, and it just gives us a perfect border. So you can see there, I glue that one together, and when we add that one on, that stands off better because of that little bit of green. So I'm going to do exactly the same with the larger panel. Again, onto a piece of green cut 1/8 of an inch larger. So it's been cut to 6 by 6. And we simply add that one on like that. Now we want to add some foam tape and add this to our card blank. So I have my card blank here, and this has been cut to 7 by 7. I'm just going to take my piece, so my background piece. And again, what you could do with this is you could cut these sort of corner pieces, insert pieces, into the card blank itself. So if you wanted to make a beautiful sort of 6 by 6 card with inserts, you could cut those corners into the card blank, which would give you the absolute perfect sort of peekaboo card. You can put colour on the back and things like that. You can, you know, there's a lot you can do with insert dies like this. So here we go. So I'm just going to place that one on. Again, take some foam tape and do exactly the same to the smaller square in the centre. And then we simply need to decorate this. And to decorate this card, I've selected the stitched dogwood along with the stitched leaves. I'll show you those dies in a second. So I'm just pulling the tape off and we'll put that in. So we'll get that nice and centralised into there. And you can see how that really stands off against that card. So I've got my flowers here, and using one piece of A6 card, I've made up 4 flowers by using 3 of the larger, 3 of the extra large, 3 of the large, 3 of the medium, and 3 of the small. And that comes from the JND501 stitched dogwood die plate. So on that you get the 12 flowers needed to make these 4 big flowers here. And then the stitch leaf JND502, I've then cut a full set of those as well in exactly the same green as I used on the outside, so it pulls that colour together. So we'll just bring those in, and I'm simply going to decorate this. So I'm going to start with the larger leaves. I'm going to turn those onto their back, and because I want these flat glued and we're going over a mixed surface, I'm just going to use a little blob of the craft artist glue in the centre of each, and I'm going to use one of the mediums. So I'm going to do exactly the same to that and simply position these coming over the edge and going to the edge of the card, so it brings that green colour into the project, and the final one pointing in that direction. The 2 smaller leaves, I'm going to do the same again. You may want to use your glue gel on these smaller leaves as it's a little bit easier, but these I'm just going to place either side of the top, just like that, leaning across. And then to add my flowers, I'm using Craft Artist 3D glue gel and a toothpick, and we'll start with the largest flower, and we create ourselves a spray of those 3 flowers. I always feel flowers sort of grow together in bunches like this, so that's perfect. And the leaves, you can see, are sized exactly to fit it. And then the smallest flower, we're just going to pop in the centre of those 2 leaves there, really making a beautiful, fresh, bright card without any frames or any need for any sort of double layering or anything, just made using the insert dies from that JND506 Notched Vines frame. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not take a look at us on Facebook?